I know part of what their problem was with the disaster ministries was for them to find a church or a place where they could be housed for the week that it was their turn to be here. And I know they had to put out feelers and find a church who, in their instance, who would put them up, have them a place for them to be fed and sleep in comfort so that they were ready for the next day's work. So I think the next place should have a nice dining area, kitchen area, so that they can make proper meals and not have to go hunting around for pizzas or whatever they need, that they can have substantial meals, because they do work 8 or 9 hour days, and they work. They
need laundry facilities. They need adequate bathroom facilities, shower facilities. And it's not every church that can provide all this.
Right. And they also need a place to chill out after a hard day's work, where they can sit and maybe watch a movie or TV programs and enjoy themselves, because the next morning they're getting up early enough to travel to be at the job site that they're working on at 8:30, and then to put in a full day of work, and then have maybe an hour's worth of travel to get back home to have a dinner. And then I know the leaders have hours of paperwork that they do at night after that, where they have to fill out forms of how much work they've done and what supplies they've used and what expenses. So maybe a nice office or two for the leaders to actually have a computer place to sit down and be quiet and get their chores done so that they're ready for the next day.
Okay.
My name is Ian Schlake, and I'm one of the founding members of this organization, Respond and Rebuild. We are in Rockaway, New York, at a community-centered Pilgrim Church of Arvern at Beach Channel Drive. We are rehabilitating this center. It was flooded after Hurricane Sandy, and so we have deconstructed all the flooded materials, and then we brought it back to a more serviceable condition. Rebuilt the stage and repainted all the walls, installed insulation, sheetrock, and all that. Out of this space, we did that because the pastor has been wonderful enough to allow us to use this space as a base of operations for a larger volunteer project centered in this neighborhood of Rockaway, where we are gutting, remediating mold, and then rebuilding homes in the area. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I have been a wandering semi-professional volunteer for about 5 years. I joined AmeriCorps right after college, and from then I've been all over. A lot of time on the Gulf Coast, and some time in Haiti and North Dakota and Peru and here. And I was actually visiting some friends in New York when Hurricane Sandy struck, and since I was kind of between jobs and just on vacation, as you will, me and those friends, turns out me and the 2 friends of mine who I was staying with, and then 3 others who came into town from out of town, came down to see what we could do. In order to get involved volunteering with us, we have a website. You can sign up for a volunteer shift there. We work Tuesday through Sunday. Volunteers will come down and we pair them up with an experienced team leader and a tool package and send them out to a work site with homeowners that we've contacted. We work really closely with the community to make sure that people's needs are met fully, and then we follow up with people, and we have a high standard of quality. I've been volunteering for years because I find it to be the most fulfilling, rewarding work out there.
I am Shanna Snyder from Fort Worth, Texas, and am here in Rockaway, New York, responding to the needs of the community after Hurricane Sandy. So we are here in our tool hub with Respond and Rebuild, doing some painting behind us, which is very exciting. We've taken this place all the way from the flooded, destroyed church that it was, and did the mucking and the gutting, mold remediation, and are now rebuilding and painting so this church community can get back to operating at full speed ahead. So Respond and Rebuild was founded by 6 friends who had met on past disasters. When Hurricane Sandy hit, we were all at a place in our lives where we were able to come here and help, and we did, and the community has been leading the way for us. So the 6 of us got together after the hurricane hit, and we just wanted to help. We started with 1 van and 1 pump, just pumping out basements for free. And the word spread very, very quickly, and so more volunteers came to help us out. Donations started rolling in, and what started out as just an opportunity for 6 friends to help out has turned into an organization. Today we sent out 150 volunteers into the field to do mold remediation, gutting, and some rebuilding work as well. So it started just with a good intention, and that good intention just continues to grow. I have been addicted to volunteering for 10 years now. I started, my first volunteer trip was just going to a home for abused children, and I spent a week there helping this home at a summer camp and just spending time with these kids, and it changed my entire life. And I fell in love with not only volunteering, but also volunteers. Volunteers are some of the most giving people in the entire world. They give of their time for no other reason than just to give, and it just brings out such greatness in people. The people who receive the assistance are so appreciative, and the people who give it get as much out of it as they put in. So it's such a wonderful balance of giving and receiving for everyone that's involved.
Do you love flowers? Well, if you do, follow me just outside of Quito, Ecuador, as I take you through the process of getting those flowers from Ecuador all the way to your kitchen table.
Roses. Everywhere you look, roses. In fact, in Ecuador, they produce more than 400 species of roses. 2 main reasons for that. One, you have the soil, and the soil here is rich in nutrients because of the volcanic nature of the area. Secondly, you have the equator. We're situated right at the equator, and you'll notice that these roses literally grow straight up. The stalks themselves are extremely straight, as if they're reaching for the sun. And that's one of the reasons why they produce award-winning roses that are recognized all over the world. So those flowers you saw growing all over the place, they end up here in what's known as the harvest room. And this lady is taking these roses, measuring their length, and seeing if they match up to the level of quality that they produce here in Ecuador. If they do, they end up over here where they are batched together and prepared for shipment. And as they get ready to go somewhere overseas, they end up here. Now I'm told that some of these roses are going to end up in Holland and some are going to end up in Miami. But before they make that trip, they have one more stop here at the flower farm. This is the refrigeration room. And it keeps them moist and cold for the time they're going to spend before the trucks pull up and take them away. So to put it in perspective, within 48 hours, these flowers are cut, processed, packaged, shipped, and in that 48-hour time frame, end up on someone's table somewhere in the world. Maybe Russia, maybe Holland, maybe your house in North America.
Hurricane Sandy, October 29, 2012. Superstorm Sandy walloped New Jersey, and almost 2 years later, cleanup and rebuilding is still going on. Meet Marie Maiorino from Highlands.
I was stupid enough to stay here. So when the water just rushed through, my brother was living with me at the time, and we grabbed the 2 dogs and ran upstairs to his room because my bedroom's on the first floor, and waited for the night to end.
What kind of damage did you have?
My complete first floor. I had 6 feet of water through the house, so everything I owned. Thankfully, a friend of mine took me in. Right after it happened, he took my brother, me, my 2 dogs, my bird, and my brother has since got an apartment, but I want to stay close to the house, so I want to stay in town.
Just recently did an assessment that 3 out of 2,300 rentals in the 2-county area actually accepted pets. And this is a fairly pet-friendly community, and yet the rental community is not very pet-friendly. So we're concerned that that might also now impede people returning to their permanent housing.
In Marie's case, the issue was the contractor she selected for the job.
I hired a contractor that I paid over $40,000, and then I found out none of the work was being done correctly. So I'm pretty much at a standstill. The volunteers have come in to help, but they can't do it all, and I don't have the money to do it myself.
So what do you think's going to happen? What will happen
I
to
don't
the
know.
house and to you?
I don't know. See, now I'm gonna cry. I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see.
New Jersey's long-term recovery groups, nonprofits, and church-based organizations are trying to help Marie and others still not back home after the storm. There are groups of volunteers like young people from Michigan who came to help Marie clean out her yard, which she needed to clean up, or face fines.
And basically taking the brush and pulling it out and weed whacking and just cleaning up just normal maintenance of a yard that had been neglected because of no time and resources to be able to do it. And so we were happy to do it, and the young people, teenagers, early 20s did a great job. They have a lot of energy, and so they bagged it all up, and now we're going to just take it off the premises so she can get on with her life and worry about other things that she has to deal with.
I work for Home Depot, and hopefully once I can get some of the major work done, my friends from work will come and pitch in and give me a hand with what I can do.
Are you rebuilding after Hurricane Sandy? Do it safely. Avoid falls and illness caused by mold exposure. To find out more, visit saferaftersandy.org. This message brought to you by
The Safer After Sandy public service announcements focus on the proper use of ladders, safe use of generators, and mold removal. Yet having a place to call home, whether it be a house or rental property, free of hazardous conditions like mold, is something some Sandy survivors still don't have, almost 2 years after the superstorm hit.
Majority of the people are not back home. You'll see, as you travel through town, you'll see houses being raised, but then next will be a house that might have been abandoned because people just couldn't deal with it. Or else you'll see people just still living with family, couch surfing, those kinds of things. It's heartbreaking.
And we see a lot of people who are coming to us because they're paying bills in 2 places. They're trying to maintain their mortgage. They are living with family members and trying to help cover costs there. So that's sort of a hidden population. I guess estimate at this point that may be in the thousands across Monmouth and Ocean counties, but it's probably the most elusive number that we have.
Gisela Smith had just recently opened her business, the Bay Avenue Bakery and Cafe in Highlands, when Sandy struck.
We're in our first year, really, and we're beginning to build a good-sized customer base, and then that just goes away. I mean, half of the town still doesn't live here. As you can see if you drive up and down any of the side streets, how many houses are still empty and vacant. And, it is signs of hope, yet and still, I mean, a lot of houses are going up and people are coming back, but this is 21 months later. So, sustained water level was about 8.5 feet, but at the one particular surge, it went over the top of the walk-in refrigerator. So, about 13.5 feet, we estimate at that. Whenever that surge came in, you know, it was enough to. So then, of course, you know, it took right around 6 months for us to get reopened because pretty much everything had to be completely redone. You know, we had to, all the equipment had to be repaired. We moved as much stuff as we could, but when they finally called for evacuation, you only have a matter of hours to get everything out, and I had to evacuate my house as well. So at the 9th hour, I threw my 4 screaming cats and my howling dog into the van and, you know, went away with a bag of clothes, and that was it.
Gisela is still not back in her house. She made the bakery rebuild her priority because it was other people's livelihoods at stake as well. Now she's hoping to get back into her house.
For the first time in the history of its 110 years, this house took on roughly about 24 inches, 2 feet of water. So the entire downstairs, and you know what happens, we weren't let immediately back into town, so the existing sheetrock just sucks it up like a sponge. So basically the whole, as you can see, downstairs has been gutted.
Where have you been since Sandy hit?
Well, fortunately, by the grace of God which passes, my sister loves me, and I live with her now in Atlantic with my 4 cats and my dog, which is, you know, rather an imposition.
No,
But
it's not. Have a big enough house.
That's true.
Everybody's welcome.
I know, but I thought it'd be a matter of weeks. I never in my wildest imagination thought when I ran out of here with my 1 bag of clothes and my toothbrush that it would be 21 months, 2 years. It's going to definitely be 2 years, at least, you know. It is emotionally draining, or I have a high level of stress with just having resurrected the business. So I think that at some point I just can't handle it. I pull up here and it's just so overwhelming because there's a pile of debris. You know, the weeds are 9 feet tall. I can't even figure out how to get a weed whacker, never mind a lawnmower. I work 7 days a week, so it becomes so overwhelming that I just can't do it. So then I sort of push it that way, and my sister comes and collects my mail.
And what are you seeing with all of this?
I see that she's depressed and she's not really accepting that or dealing with it. Our background is you just suck it up and go. You're not allowed to be depressed, or I tell her, take a day off, take 2 days off, I'll help you. So we're going to do that, I think, next week.
Yeah, we have to get, unfortunately, at the time, you try to save what you think you're going to save, so everything got thrown upstairs that we thought could potentially be, you know, you don't know what to do. It was just crazy. And so the upstairs is now, it looks like an aged hoarder has lived up there. I have to get all that stuff out of here, never mind the 6 to 8 feral cats that are perfectly happy with that nice, soft, moldy mattress up there.
Manasquan Organization of Volunteer Efforts, known as MOVE, are volunteers who want to give Sandy victims a chance at a new beginning. It's the successor organization of the Ministerium, a group of 12 churches that came together after Sandy.
They couldn't do this on a long-term basis, so it ended on June 30th, 2013. And what they were looking for was another group of private citizens who would get together and do some long-term disaster recovery relief work, so that the community would know that if anything ever happened again, there would be this group available.
MOVE provides educational programming, counseling, and the Furniture Bank.
The Furniture Bank will provide, at the request of individuals who are in need, bedding, and generally it's new bedding, couches, tables, and all of this furniture has been donated from various people in the community. So they are just kind of moving it from one spot to the needy, and it's absolutely wonderful. There were so many people who were displaced from their homes and had to rent, and they came to MOVE and said, help us to set up our new homes.
MOVE's Furniture Bank is getting a lot of calls now because some places that originally were helping with furniture and home contents are phasing out or no longer assisting Sandy survivors in the same way.
What we've found for the most part is in communities where most of the homes are owner occupied, what you're seeing now, almost 2 years later, is people are starting to get their elevation grant money. So you see some of these smaller houses being lifted. But if you look in the communities like Keensburg, where most houses are occupied by renters, you only see a few houses going up. And the renters, they
they're sort of the people that have fallen through the cracks. They need more help than ever now. Some of them moved from one place to another. We helped one person who works for Catholic Charities. She's a disaster case manager herself. She told me she'd moved about 12 times already since the storm because she lost her home, and they just moved them from one place to another. I'm Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia. I'm Corinne. Nice to meet you.
That's what happened to Corinne Marks.
Well, we were displaced from the apartment that we were living in, and then we had to go to a winter rental, which was very hard to find. We found it literally 9 minutes after it hit the realtor.com because there was nothing available because there were so many people that were out of homes. So we found it like within seconds that it was posted, and then we had to take that and live there on a temporary basis. And then we moved again. We've moved about maybe 4 or 5 times since then.
Corinne Marks is living with her 3 children and needed furniture.
Today we're being provided with beds, the box springs, the frames, and everything else, because right now we had an air mattress and it popped, and we have one twin mattress and that's it. So thank God, because I have 3 kids, so we're getting the beds provided to us, and they're also providing nightstands with the dresser.
Olivia DiCelio, a homeowner in Highlands, has also lived a number of places since Sandy hit and destroyed her home.
I lived in a little bungalow type of home with like 7-foot ceilings, and I had about 4.5 feet of water in there, and it just totally destroyed everything. All my furnishings, all my personal belongings, my clothes, just everything. I went to my sister's house, who lives in Little Silver, and I stayed there overnight. I went up to North Jersey to visit with my daughter and stayed there for a bit, but I live down here, so that was a bad commute, so I decided to stay down here. I was lucky enough to be at the Sheridan for a few weeks. I went from a friend's house to another friend's house to another family house down here for a couple of days, here and there. And then I was very fortunate enough to get picked to stay at Fort Monmouth in the Army base. And from that is where I wind up here now in Pine Tree.
Olivia is now living in one of the trailers in Pine Tree, the manufactured home park made possible by the Affordable Housing Alliance.
Several people have relocated there permanently who lost their housing in the storm. We have had a number of people who've located there temporarily, so until their rental unit or until their single-family home unit was replaced, they stayed there. We've had people who stayed there on an interim basis until they could find alternate housing, and some people relocated to other parts of the state or other parts of the country. And more recently, what we're working on is using a couple of the units for those people now in the recovery process who have to vacate their home for things like elevation and reconstruction.
The town of Highlands has condemned my house, so yes, it has to be torn down. I have to go up. I'm not sure how high yet I have to go up, between 10 and 12 feet, because I'm right near the water. And they're going to put pilings up and then just build me a new house from that.
The Affordable Housing Alliance has a new program that might identify the right new home for Olivia's lot. It's the Bayshore Bungalow Program for low or moderate income families.
Our hope is that those low, moderate, or middle-income families that do not have a lot of expendable cash or a lot of capital that they can raise to replace their home might consider working with us to allow us to move forward in replacing their home with a modular home of like kind and size. We are standing right now in our new home ownership recovery center, which also includes a very qualified and highly trained housing counselors who can help people estimate the future costs of maintaining these new homes. It's one thing to get back in a home. It's one thing to get all the subsidies that may be available through FEMA and the state of New Jersey to return to your home. But if your home now is valued at 3 times it was before it was destroyed, the tax burden may be way outside your budget. And so we want people to be able to make informed decisions about the decisions that they're making, not just making sort of emotional decisions about their recovery process.
Tell me what you'd like to see happen.
I want to come home. I want to bring my dog home. I want to live here. I love this town. You can't beat the location until the water comes through you. I want to come home. That's it.
I want to welcome you here today, the first frontline volunteers in our war against poverty. You have come from every part of this country, from every age group, from every background. You have come to serve the poor and the unfortunate of American society and to open the door of American opportunity to all of our American people. And you will have the ultimate reward which comes to those who serve their nation and who serve their fellow man. You are the first, as Sergeant Shriver said, of the 3,500 volunteers in service to America. No aspect of the war against poverty will be more important than the work that you do. And I hope all those with skills and dedication to offer will come and join with you in this most extraordinary force for good in our country.
Have you ever watched a reality TV show and thought either A, this is so pointless, or B, that looks like fun and I want to do it. I can do it even better. We can help you combine all these scenarios into one fantastic experience while getting you your 15 minutes of fame. Every person watching has the ability to join or form a team of volunteers who will travel to the Jersey Shore for one weekend and document their experience. You will film yourselves doing the important work of helping your neighbors get back into their homes, and others will be watching you and voting for the best team during each episode. Your efforts might just propel the next team of volunteers to get off the couch, get on the bus, and become part of the solution.